Good evening, my name is Samuel Woodworth. I am part of the class for the Intro to Communications, and I'll be reviewing what I learned this week. This week I learned chapters 1 and 3. Chapter 1 describes the foundations defining communication and communication study. So, what is a communication study exactly? Well, based off of what it says on chapter 1 or page 1 of the PDF, a communication study equates or equals to who says what through what channels, also known as through media in the form of communication. Communication usually takes place between two people. Communication is a process that uses symbols and or messages to exchange meaning. It allows you to understand how it is used throughout this book. One important quote from Aristotle says, "When rhetoric falls into three divisions determined by the three classes of listeners to speeches, for one of the three elements in speech making, the speaker, subject, and the person are addressed. It is the last one, though, the hearer, that determines the speech's end and object." So in this case, the person listening determines and interprets the message that's being portrayed by the sender. And this goes on to the different models of communication. On page 5 of the PDF, the linear and transactional models of communication act as visual representations of both a communication study and regular communication. Usually in this transactional and linear model of communication, a sender has to send a message to a receiver, and then the receiver interprets what that message is. However, there's also noise involved. The message being sent is the channel. That's for page 5. And to summarize this section is a solid definition of what communication is. Communication is important to people because it impacts the social, personal, and professional lives of everyone around it and everyone who uses it as a skill. For the next section, I'll be talking about nonverbal communication. Chapter 3 goes over the nonverbal aspect into more detail, which was previously mentioned in chapter 1. Anyways, on page 1 from the PDF of chapter 3, nonverbal communication, nonverbal communication is described as commentary through the use of gestures, body language, and facial expressions. Usually, nonverbal communication is used as an intentional or consensually recognized interpretation between two people. The two people using nonverbal communication understand the nonverbal gestures and body language being used in that given situation. On page 5, a good definition of the difference between verbal and nonverbal is mentioned. A good way to describe the differences between verbal and nonverbal communication is that verbal communication is very distinctive and straightforward, while nonverbal is continuous and relies on multiple message. That's it for my video for CS number 1.